Hi everybody and welcome back to the Crafty Crew podcast. My name is Kinger. I'm joined by Mark.
Hiya.
By Nally.
Well.
And by Walshy.
The doctor is in. Sorry lad, I've genuinely wanted to say that all week. I was waiting for this moment.
Quality.
Have you been saying that to people in work while she
No.
up to the till?
No, I'm pretty
The
sure.
doctor will see you now.
Yeah.
I can just see it. Somebody shouting, "Is there a doctor here?" And Walshy stands up going, "Yes,
Just
I'm
take
here."
a run to the off-license aisle and grab a few beers and like, is this not how you doctor?
Do you need help with your bollocksology? Call Paul Walsh.
Yeah.
This week it's Trappists. Nally is very excited about this. This is a whole new world for me. So Belgian Trappists or Trappists in general, Nally? What's the vibe here?
Yeah, so Trappists are brewed by monks. Essentially, they have to be brewed by monks to fall into this Trappist category. There's certain requirements that they need to be in it. There's other versions of these beers that are very similar, and they're called Abbey ales, which are basically like they're class beers as well, but they're basically like what's that? Oh God, I can't think. What's like if you have like Nike and Nicky or something like that? It's pretty much the same thing, except it's just a really really good knockoff version. Their class, there's a couple of really good examples of them as well. Yeah, so the Trappist breweries, they tend to make a couple of different styles. They have the Einkel, double, triple, and the quad. Now the Einkel isn't really made anymore. It used to be made. It was originally made instead of monks and that having to drink water because it was heavily polluted. So you'd brew the Einkel, which was low in alcohol percentage, and was used for their day-to-day drink, their normal thing. Then you'd have the double, which is slightly stronger. It's anywhere up to about 7% kind of. Now doubles tend to be dark in colour. They're like a dark ale, and that comes from they use candy sugar in the brewing process, which helps beef up that alcohol percentage. So they use the same grain bill as an Einkel, which roughly translates to a single. They use the same grain bill, but they add in candied sugar. It's Belgian candy sugar, and it gives it that kind of brown colour. And then you have triples, which are, they're light colour. They're kind of golden colour as well. And the first triple was in Westmalle, which I am very, very excited for. So Westmalle is the oldest Trappist brewery in the world. There's a Trappist monastery that's older, but as breweries go, Westmalle is the oldest. So most of the time, the style of triple is compared to the Westmalle triple. Possibly the Westmalle double as well, but that varies. And then the fourth style is a quad, which kind of goes back to darker in colour. So they kind of go light dark in colour. And the percentages go up as you get through the different styles as well. I suppose we'll get into the flavour and stuff with them later on when we go into the actual beers, because being Belgian beers, they're quite unique in their flavours, the flavour profile and stuff like that. We'll get into more. But yeah, I am very excited for these. I freaking love Belgian beers, so this is a very happy episode for me.
Well, the little bit of digging that I was doing about them, I thought Trappists were just beer. Like I thought it was just beer that they certified just beer, but the beers aren't the actual only commodities that monasteries produce. That they have Trappist cheeses, Trappist wines, breads, chocolates, and honey, and they all qualify for the official. I think is it the ATP label, which is like authentic Trappist produce or authentic Trappist product or something like that. So there's a whole range of stuff that you can get.
Yeah, it's a bit like champagne has to come from the Champagne region, and like Blah bread in Ireland has to come from certain bakeries in Waterford.
Right,
to be a Trappist anything, you have to come from a brewer, like not only an abbey of specific type or whatever, but that's also recognised by this like ATP kind of group of Trappist breweries. Yeah, so just to get into it, Kinger, like to follow on from your point, there's 169 recognised Trappist monasteries, but there's only 13 breweries. And like, we're trying to Belgians today, but like you'd think when you kind of hear Trappist, it sounds like a Belgian word. Maybe they're all in Belgium. But no, there's 5 in Belgium, 2 in Holland, and then Austria, Italy, England, France, Spain, and America have 1 each. So there's quite a decent spread of them. Basically, there's 3 rules. So they're run by the Benedictine order of monks, which are an order of the Cistercians. So for anyone who's into your history of the Catholic monasteries, there you go. That's a nice bit, but whatever. So they're Benedictines. They have to follow 3 rules to be a Trappist brewery. So rule 1 is the beer has to be brewed within the walls of the monastery, either by the monks or under their direct supervision. The second one is that the brewery must be of secondary importance. So basically, in the monastery, praying and the worship of God has to be priority number 1, and the beer making is just like another priority. They can't put it above daily prayers or anything like that, or their general kind of rules. So that's their second one. And the third one is that they can't be profit making. So the income can only cover the expenses of like the monastery or maintenance or raw materials, and everything else they generally give to charity or help people in need. So, this is a kind of beer that directly supports charity, and, because one of the rules is they can't be profit making, it's kind of nice that, some of your money probably is going somewhere good. And so basically these Benedictine orders, they follow a document called the Rule of Saint Benedict, which was written by like Saint Benedict, and it's just rules about how to live as a monk, so it's like basically their motto is like pray and work. It's a motto called Ora et Labora. So it's just basically you devote your life to God and then you work as another devotion to God, kind of. So it's just one kind of fun fact for all of us Irish people. Buckfast is actually brewed by Benedictine monks. So this is the start of my campaign for Buckfast to be made into an official Trappist product. So come on, ATP, get your working gloves roll up your sleeves there, and get the Buckfast Abbey in England recognised, please.
So does that mean that all the Buckfast I drank in college actually did some good, that my money was going to some kind of good cause at some point?
No, definitely not.
Turns out it's not your first time trying Trappist beers, Kinger. Yeah.
Vile stuff. Jesus.
What I have here is not really Trappist related. It's more of beers in Belgium and Belgium in general. It's just that there is more than 1,100 beer brands to offer in Belgium. It is home to approximately 160 breweries, of which 100 of them are located in Flanders, which from what I looked up seems to be up the north of Belgium. And it also produces just over 18.5 million litres of beer a year. And now I want to go to Belgium. Just saying.
Crafty Crew podcast on tour could be our first destination, Flanders.
We have a few places that we'd be going on tour by the sounds of things.
I mean, that Delirium Tremens Cafe.
We can follow Dr. Paul Walsh on his next seminar of bollocksology as he tours Europe when COVID goes away.
Yeah, I'll have to make sure to get some time off. It's very hard to get time off as a learned doctor,
Dr. Walsh and his 3 students following him across the the beer trails of Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think I was the one that picked the beers this week. So it's I've gone with Trappistes Rochefort 8, and I'm going to butcher that name the whole way through this podcast. And much to Nally's delight, I picked Westmalle Trappist Triple as well. So what say we start with the Rochefort, lads, number 8, and we'll leave what Nally sees as the Holy Grail to last.
I think,
leave him stewing for a few more minutes.
Sure, why not?
Yeah,
that's an unbelievable shout, Kinger. So it is.
Thank you very much. All right, crack them open.
Just a quick one for you lads before you start baiting into these to pour them out. So another thing I forgot to mention earlier is Trappist ales tend to be bottle conditioned, which means there's extra sugar and stuff added into them just while they're being put into the bottle. So expect a lot of head when you're pouring these. Like, they're very highly carbonated beers.
Pour with ease. So.
Oh yes.
It smells fantastic.
I think we've got our quad on our hands here, Nally, by the colour.
No, you'd think that because it's the dark, but it's a double. So the Rochefort 8 is their double.
Oh.
So it's got that candy sugar in it, so it has to give it that colour.
No, for whatever reason, I was thinking like another kind of a blondie, Hefeweiss type of a look to it for some reason.
I feel a little bit like all the talking we've done about Trappists and that they're seen as like, they're brewed by monks and it's a certain order that has to qualify it as to be a Trappist. I feel like whatever I say, I'm going to do this beer a disservice, no matter what I say about it. Like I'm actually nervous to actually try this beer, which is weird.
Could you say you fear the wrath of God if you give it a bad review, Kinger?
Possibly, yeah. Yeah.
I reckon a couple of Hail Marys and you'll be fine, lad. Don't worry.
I mean, there is a lot of sediment in that. I don't know if I poured too much of it into the glass or whatever.
Yeah, so that's another thing with these beers. They tend to be quite hazy. It's the yeast that tends to stay in them. So unlike, say, with New England IPAs and things like that you get more proteins and stuff hanging around them, these are quite yeast heavy. So you get that kind of haze from the yeast in them. So this one anyway, you can see this one is kind of like a reddish brown kind of colour. Like a mahogany nearly, I think is a good colour for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're good. It's a good colour. So it's a double, like I was saying. It's what is this one, Kinger? Is it 6-point-something%?
9.92.
Oh,
9.2.
It's even better than I thought.
It's up there, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking it might be a quad, Nally.
Yeah, I don't think it is. It could be, but I don't think so. I still think it's possibly their double. But then again, Rochefort might have their own. It might necessarily be doubles and triples for them. They use a numbering system on it. They have 6, 8, 10, and 12. So I think I was just going off the numbers, describing it as a double.
What are the numbers then? Do you know, or what?
6, 8, 10, and 12 are the numbers on them.
What do they? I mean, what do they mean? I mean, sorry. Do you know?
I'm not 100% sure.
Is it just a name, or like does it signify something, or? I
think what it is it kind of relates back to their specific gravity nearly. So when you check your gravity of your beer, their 6 is 10.060. Roughly is the specific gravity, so they've called it a 6. This one is 1080.
Okay.
The next is 10,
right.
12 or whatever. But it roughly translates back to the percent alcohol as well. So I think their 6 is about 6.5 to 7% or something like that.
Okay.
And then their 10 is up about 10 or 11% as well.
Okay. Do you remember a couple of weeks ago when we had the double IPAs episode, and I spoke about that slight warmth after drinking a particular type of double IPA that like you might liken to a whiskey or to a rum. I'm getting the same kind of feeling in my chest with this. Obviously, it's to do with the alcohol percentage.
Yeah, I agree with you, Kinger. I get that too. And also, just to kind of skip back to the aroma, it has this nice, sweet, caramelly kind of thing that reminds me of the red ales we had. And when you taste it, that caramel taste comes through quite rich and really smooth. Yeah. It's really delicious.
Yeah, so I'd agree with you, Mark. It's kind of got a kind of fruity smell as well. So it's not just, it's quite caramelly, like you said, but then it's kind of fruity as well. There's something kind of sweet about the smell. And then, the mouthfeel, they're quite, they're quite carbonated. They're pretty fizzy, so they are. And they kind of coat your mouth as well. They're quite viscous. They're quite thick.
Which I find very strange that it's so kind of hazy, but it still has that carbonation. I didn't think the two would ever go together. Like I thought when you see it kind of been very hazy, beers tend to be a bit smoother,
Nally, would I be right in saying that generally bottle conditioned beers, like a main part of that conditioning is adding the carbonation?
Yeah, 100%, Mark. So when you bottle condition the beer, you add extra sugar into the bottle, into the beer, and then into the bottle, and the little bits of yeast that's left, they eat through that sugar, so it kicks up the ABV a slight bit, not much because there's very little in there. But what it does is when you bottle the beer, you cap it. The carbon dioxide, the CO2 can't escape, so it's forced into the beer itself, and it keeps the carbonation in there. And that's why it leads to that little bit of haze in it as well, because the yeast, they die off after a while when there's no much sugar to eat, so they sit around in the bottle.
There was a bit of a leading question. Like, this is carbonated, definitely, but it's not like super crisp. So it must have been quite, not watery, but quite flat when it was originally bottled.
Yeah, I suppose it could have been. Yeah, yeah, that's a good shout. It might have been. Yeah, like if you age something for a while, if it's been fermented for a while in casks or something like that, the carbonation might come out of it. So when you bottle condition it, it's to kind of ensure that they maintain the carbonation they're looking for over a period of time.
Yeah, and Dr. Walsh, what is your official bollocksology report on this?
I don't think it's bollocksology, but we'll go with that. And if it is, it's part of my doctorate, I was a bit nervous at first because I took that first sip, and you seem to get hit with a lot initially, but kind of once it settles down, the flavour isn't as strong and it kind of sits nicely. But then I do kind of get that warmth that King was on about, because down to the high percentage, you'll obviously get that. But it's quite nice. Once you kind of, that very first impact, I'm not the biggest fan of, but once it kind of sits for a second, it gets a lot more enjoyable.
It's quite a heavy one as well. For a beer, I guess the sediment that's left in there from the bottle conditioning and whatever from before, it isn't something you're going to like lamp 10 pints of this into you super quick.
No.
This feels more like a slow drinker.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of goes back a bit to Walshy's fact he had at the start, how Belgium they produce a lot of beer. So I was looking it up as well. On average, Belgium, they're not, I don't think they're even in the top 10 of beer consumed per capita. But that's because they have beers like this. So these are generally served in like, a tulip glass or beer chalice. So, you're not going to get pints of them. That's the point of them. They're served in those smaller glasses because of the high percentage. So although Belgians are known for enjoying their beer, they tend to drink, a lot less than, say, people in, Irish or whatever. But that's because they're drinking beers that are 9% at a time. Whereas we're drinking, what's Guinness? 4.2, I think it is, 4.4.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
Whereas they're on 9.2 beers.
Making a lot of excuses for Belgium there, Nally. Any reason behind that in particular? You been paid?
Passports in the post, lads.
The Belgian embassy are bribing Nally to talk up Belgium on this podcast, huh?
I feel like I don't. They don't really have to pay me. I mean, the beer does that itself. You see.
Well, I think it's obvious that they're probably drinking it more for the enjoyment as opposed to trying to get blind drunk like the majority of Irish drinkers across the country.
Paul Walsh, could you tell me what again is your doctorate in?
Let me get my certificate here.
So
bollocksology.
Bollocks to that. Yeah, bollocks to that care.
I can't quite pinpoint the flavour that I'm picking up most in this. There's a strange kind of a fruitiness is the wrong word, because like it's not fruity, but there's definite, like, maybe it's the sweetness, maybe it's from the candy sugar that I'm picking up, but we've marked beers before on you couldn't sit there and drink that for the night. Do you know what I mean? So I think we have to be careful with this one, because it's not an all night drinker kind of a beer.
Oh, definitely.
I'm kind of getting the caramel flavour of like a Galaxy caramel with the sugary sweetness of like jelly tots. So I don't know if that's something we need to go out and try tomorrow, just to kind of recreate this taste. But if anyone's ever had Galaxy caramel and jelly tots together, please let us know. Is it nice? I want to know.
I live in the middle of town. I could pick some up, and I'll let you know.
You could do a learned research paper on it,
as a doctor, I'm willing to make that sacrifice.
Oh God, we're beating this thing to death, aren't we?
That's the kind of thing that wins Nobel Prizes. I think Kinger, just on that, they're quite malty. I think the thing with these as well is they're not overly hopped. Like, you're not getting a super hoppy flavour or a super hoppy smell from them either. That's in general with Belgian beers. They don't tend to be overly hopped, like, so it is a lot more the malt character. So malt is kind of breadiness and caramelly type of thing, more so than the hoppy flavors we get normally.
Yeah, I agree with you there, Nally. And just to swing this thing round to the ratings, for me, I'll kick us off after Kinger introduces us all to the official Crafty Crew rating system once again for the 10th time, Kinger.
Yeah, and it's, at this stage you would think that I just have it off on the top of my head, but every time I do this I have to look at my my very crudely written out rating system. So the Crafty Crew's rating system is, of course, starts at an unbearable. It then goes booze, beer, brutiful, and finally, still only one recipient of the unbeerleavable rating on the Crafty Crew podcast. So, Mark, do you want to take the lead on this one and let us know what you think?
Yeah, so it's got a really pleasant aroma, a nice strong caramelly taste with some good sweetness in there. It's a bit heavy and, it's not quite carbonated enough for my tastes, but they don't detract from it majorly. So I think this is a solid, beautiful brew.
Yeah, I'll jump in next, and I'll just let you know, because there's no point in me beating around the bush. I'm 100% in agreement. I think this is a beautiful beer. Out of the Trappists that I've had, it would be on the lower end of beautiful for me. There's just some other ones that I've tried that I prefer. It's not low enough to be just beer. It's definitely in the beautiful, but it will be on the lower side of beautiful for me. But it's still there, yeah, for me anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
This sounds like you're harbouring a grudge about how much we slammed ciders last week, and you're about to take it out on Nally.
No, not at all. I'm really enjoying it. I don't know if the taste is for me. Maybe I think that might be it. I wanted to rate this higher. Maybe I'm putting this style of beer up on a pedestal because of what it is. But I think I definitely beautiful, like 100% beautiful. Part of me wants to push it to an unbeerleavable. But again, like I said earlier, and what I was warning us against of rating it down because you wouldn't drink it for a night, I think 2 of these in one night and you're probably happy out. Do you know what I mean? So I would say beautiful, personally.
I think the whole, if you can't drink them more, there's not a lot of craft beers that you're going to be able to drink consistently for an entire night, I don't think. Like a lot of them double IPAs, which wouldn't be my thing. Like, realistically, would you be able to drink, and you're a big fan of them, Kinger, would you realistically be able to drink, like, a metal beer solid? Would you be able to drink 4 cans of them in a night? You'd struggle, regardless. Do you know what I mean? Okay. Yeah, but it's...
I can promise you, I certainly wouldn't.
I think...
Only 4?
Yeah, I think I'd agree with
But
Walshy's,
in general, like, even...
I think I'd agree with Walshy's point, though. I think that is something that, yeah, maybe with the higher strength beers, like when we did it with the Dippas, like the double IPAs are only unbeerleavable beer so far. And I feel like I really enjoyed it, but I'm not going to drink that all night because I'm going to be smashed. So I feel like with the higher strength beers, it mightn't be as appropriate to maybe put that in. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, I just to counter that, I think, like, when we do try a higher strength beer, like, they all, as Walshy said, a lot of craft beers have a heaviness or kind of a lack of drinkability that you don't get with the lower strength kind of, mainstream lagers and stuff. But even when you do try something that's higher strength or has that bit of heaviness, if everything else is going well for it, you're not going to count it down for it. You're going to kind of look at the whole thing. And I think that the heaviness in this is probably just a bit much. That if it was a little bit lighter, a little bit more carbonated, we wouldn't be talking about it. So I do think it's a valid point that it's, it does kind of take it down a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not necessarily. I'm not really disagreeing, but I don't agree with, right? But just the whole thing of maybe bringing down a rating because you can't drink, 5 or 6 of them. That could be said for a lot of them, and not even just double IPAs or these Trappists, like some sours maybe, some milkshake IPAs, some of them, maybe outlandish stouts that Kinger despises. Oh, and he despises Guinness as well. And, you would struggle to, and a lot of craft, I think you'd struggle besides maybe the basic pale ales and stuff, you mightn't be able to have like a constant feed of it for the night.
I'll take your point, right? However, I have the power of the edit. I'm going to go back and listen to some old recordings, and I'm pretty sure I'll find something of you saying, I couldn't drink this for the night, and I'm going to write it down because of that.
I did do it once.
There has to be something in there.
I did know. No, I definitely did do it once. But I'm not the only one that's done it either. I'm admitting it. Of course, I'm admitting it.
If he's admitting to once, how many times?
No,
I know.
I've definitely done it once, and I think it was one of the double IPAs. I'm not 100% sure which one, but I think it was one of them. Just because of the higher percentages and just not able for me. Right, okay, we'll get into this. At first, I was like...
Oh, here we go.
No, I'm not getting into it.
Green zebra all over.
At first, because, like I said earlier, that initial kind of bang was a lot, I found. I was like, oh, I don't know about this at all. But when I kind of got... I don't know, nearly adjusted to what I was drinking, because I have nothing to work against. I don't know where this stands. So, like, after drinking it, it's all gone now. After getting to the end, I'm like, no, I'm solid with the two boys. Or the three, sorry. Pure, beautiful, brutal.
Okay. That makes the rating for the podcast a lot easier with 4 Brutifuls. It's a solid down the line Brutiful beer for Trappistes Rochefort 8. Nally?
Yeah, happy days. I just finished mine off there, and just when you finish yours off, have a look at the end. So, Kinger, you know that haziness you were talking about? You can see the yeast at the end, which would be class if I had any way of keeping that at the minute, because you could, that's how people make clones of them. You could harvest that yeast, grow it up, and then if you had somewhat the ingredients, you could try and make your own. I suppose it would be an Abbey Ale, not a Trappist, because it wouldn't be recognized by the Trappist Association.
Yeah.
Although I might make a push for that if I ever make a Trappist, an Abbey Ale.
Nally, all you have to do is between now and when that yeast is grown is become a Benedictine monk and build a middle-aged monastery in your back garden.
Do you reckon I could just, commandeer Clonmacnoise for a while?
If you live within 5k and no one else does, I mean, who's going to stop you?
Right, lads, what's the particular style of beer that's changed your opinion after trying a few of them?
Yeah, so I'll jump in on this, and I know my answer pretty quick. My answer is lagers. I'm not a huge fan of lagers, as I think it was episode 1 at this stage. God, that I kind of said that, and just not a big fan of lagers. However, since then, I've kind of pushed out my comfort zone and tried a couple more. And there's a couple of lagers that are quite heavily hopped, and I think that might have been the problem, Traditionally lagers, Czech lagers and stuff are hopped with Saz and things like that. It just might not be my thing. But there's a couple of new ones out, and, IPLs is what people have been calling them lately, where they've just been highly hopped. And they've changed my mind. There's a few of them that I'm actually a big fan of some of them. I think the Rock Hellas that we tried on that episode, they have a highly hopped version of that Rock Hellas, the White Hag, and it's a really good lager. So it is. I'm a big fan of that. So I am. Yeah. So I would say lagers is one I've changed my mind on. Yeah, hoppy lagers. So lagers is one I've changed my mind on a bit. Anyway, yeah.
Right, for me, this is fairly straightforward. Stouts. Like, as we stated on the Stouts episode, I've had 1 pint of Guinness. Yeah, and to be honest,
Whoa, where did that come from?
Kinger, we're probably going to have the same answer, but for very different reasons. Like, I only had the 1 pint of Guinness when I was like a lot younger, and only for during the Christmas time tried a load of some were outlandish and weird. Like, I had a Mexican hot chocolate one which had chilies in it. It was an odd one.
God.
Yeah, but some of my favourite drinks right now, salted caramel stouts. Like, I drink them all day. I said some beautiful ones. I have a couple sitting in the fridge there now that I'm looking forward to tackling.
I'm not surprised you like the stout so much, Walshy, because with your bald head and your dark beard, you kind of look like the top of a pint of stout yourself.
Jesus Christ. You're just itching for that to make the editor go.
Oh, please put it in. Please put it in.
Hey, looking at the top of your head, you won't be too far behind me. You're fairly receding a little bit there, buddy.
He
Yeah?
says to the man with the ponytail.
Yeah, but
like,
look at that. Look at that forehead. It's receding a little, no?
No, it's a dead straight line, my friend. Don't worry about me.
this okay. Well, look, this might surprise you a bit, right? I've thought about this one a good bit, and I think ciders for me,
Rosé cider, yeah.
given recent events, I'm not going to say particularly rosé ciders, just given some events lately, I won't mention the ciders episode where ciders absolutely imploded on us. I always thought that you just couldn't do anything wrong. When it came to a cider, I thought you can't get it wrong. But my God, did they get that wrong? Like, so I've always gone into ciders thinking there's no way that I'm not going to like this, whatever it is, be it like a kiwi and lime or a pomegranate and strawberry or plain apple. But like, that was just gross. Like, so that's definitely one that I've my opinion has changed, that I have to be a bit careful in terms of what I try from them.
I love it. I love the fact we've broken you. Me and Nally are quite happy with this situation. I'm not going to say ciders because, like, I'm surprised you can do a cider right. So I'll round us up on this question. For me, it'll be sours. I have quite, a small sample size with sours. I've only really had like 7 or 8. But the first one I had sent me through so many emotions. The initial few, very, very negative. My initial thoughts before I tried them were kind of like, oh, I'm not going to like this. But after I got over that first terrible one, I've had many's an enjoyable sour, and only 1 or 2 that were kind of not genuinely enjoyable that I wouldn't go back to. So I'd like to thank Dr. Paul Walsh for introducing me to the style. And sours, I really enjoy them now. I think they should be the replacement for cider. That's that's where I'll plant my flag to die on this hill. We should get rid of ciders.
That's a big call.
Get rid of ciders and restock every pub with sours instead.
I am very okay with that. I mean, if it's a summer day and I can get some sours, unfortunately, they're not as common as ciders, so they're very going to be hard to get.
We also obviously love to hear from you as well. So if you have, if you want to let us know what styles maybe you've tried that's changed your mind, Mark, where can people get in touch?
Yeah, guys. So you can find us on any platform that publishes podcasts. So iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, wherever. You can also find us on YouTube, Facebook, and you can email us at craftycrewpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Untapped, Crafty Crew Podcast, if you want to follow us to see the ratings of our beers. And not only let us know what kind of styles you like or what have changed your mind, but if you guys have any questions you'd like to float to us here in the podcast that we can answer,
oh please
do. Kinger is really struggling.
I'm struggling. So as Nally cradles the next bottle, we better crack it open and get on with the next Trappist of the week. So this is Westmalle Trappist triple.
Was it?
Nally, this is your dream come true, is it?
No, it's a pretty good day, yeah. Pretty good day, I won't lie. It's so the Westmalle is the oldest, like we were saying earlier, it's the oldest Trappist brewery in the world. They're the original brewers of the style of triples, so they are. Now they have been beaten out. There is another one, but I've never had it. It's called Westmalle, and they won the best beer in the world from, I think it was like 12 years running. They won best beer in the world, and it was their triple as well. So this is the original of the triple style. So let's give it a go and see how it is.
So is the pressure on us to like this then, because it's so well renowned?
No. Like we've said from the start, the Crafty Crew podcast is, our rating system is the way to go. Mark, you have absolutely destroyed that. What did I tell you earlier? God damn it, Mark.
There's like 10
Lord.
mils. Like 10 mils been poured and like 18 inches ahead in my Erdinger glass there.
What was the one warning?
I have to say, I know listeners can't see this, but I think I've actually perfected the head.
That's a dinger. Walshy's asked and nailed it as well, so yes.
I don't know, it's nearly half and half. It looks pretty good in the camera, but...
Yeah, it looks good on camera, though.
Ooh,
It's not too bad. This is kind of what, when we're talking about colour, is what I expected initially. This kind of
yes,
maybe dark blondie kind of colour.
yeah.
And then when I seen the kind
That's
of
what I was expecting as well.
dark reddy, ambery kind of colour in the other one, I kind of like, oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that at all.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like it's the other ones, they get their color because they use that candy sugar, which gives it that darker color, and whereas these don't have that candy sugar in it. As far as I know, yeah, these don't have that dark candy sugar in it anyway. So it takes that out of it.
So the smell is a bit more
It reminds me,
like nearly acidic or something.
it reminds me, and I don't know if any of you've had it, but it reminds me an awful lot of Weihenstephaner, which is a Belgian or a German Weiss beer. Yeah, it's very similar to that in smell and taste.
I thought you were going to say extreme jelly tots or something because you're a big fan of them.
Wait a minute. Are there extreme jelly tots?
I have no idea. I was going to say sour ones, which would be something
I don't know, but I want
I'd be on board for. I mean, I feel like I'm after giving ideas out there, and I'd like some royalties. Sour jelly tots would be amazing.
Yeah, between your sour jelly tots idea and Mark's crunchy nut beer, I think Kellogg's and Roundtree may be onto us soon.
I don't know why I find this so interesting, but when on the back of this bottle on the label it has the bottling date and obviously the best before date, but like it was bottled. Mine was the bottle on the 15th of the 10th, 2020. So I'm wondering if you guys are different.
15th to the 10th, baby.
So I assume 15 underneath that there's 15 to the 10th 2022 is kind of its
best before date. Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. We're all the same. Out of the same crate. I
would just wonder would the taste differ if they were bottled in different batches or
that's actually a really good question, Kinger. Fair play. I kind of forgot to bring it up earlier on, but it's a big thing with Trappists. So their Trappists, because they're bottle conditioned, they do change quite a bit over time. So there's one in particular that I've had. I've had when it was really fresh, and then I've had it like when it was bottle conditioned for maybe a year and a half, and it was almost like a different beer. It was so crazy, the difference. Like it's one of the other Trappists. It's called it's Orval. So not every Trappist does a number of beers. Orval only have that one beer that they make, and that's it. But yeah, it's kind of it mellows out over a while. It's crazy the difference in it. I can't explain it as really well, but yeah, it's mad how they change. You'd expect the same beer to taste virtually the same. Maybe be a bit more flat or a little bit more, I don't know, sour or something because it's aged for a while. But it's crazy the difference. Like the orange kind of taste that you get, and it changes completely. So it does. It's crazy. So yeah, lads. So let's get on to this. So, looks wise, it's it's the Cosmos apparently, but no, it's a dark golden beer. It's hazy. Like we said, you're kind of going to get that haze because it's bottle conditioned. It's quite carbonated. You can see the bubbles coming up through it, like Kinger was saying there. It's got a pretty decent head retention as well. I don't think we remarked on that in the last one, but both of these had a pretty good head retention. Like, it's not sitting there flat on top.
Definitely.
Like, it's pretty good. And then into the aroma, it's nearly kind of spicy. Yeah.
Sharp.
It's got that bit about it. It's kind of fruity as well, but in a different way to the other one. It's not as sweet nearly.
Yeah, and when you start to taste it, you get a kind of real bitterness. I think, which like I don't know, is this a wheat beer? Is this a Wit beer? Or, maybe because it's really really reminding me of kind of German Weiss beers.
No, it's not. It's not a Wit beer. It's only malted barley in this. So with some of those German Weiss beers and some other wheat beers like wit beers, the Belgian ones, it actually comes from that Belgian yeast. So Belgian yeast is really phenolic, and it gives those kind of esters and those phenols that give it that really really distinct flavor. And in some wheat beers in Germany that are near, they use the same kind of yeast, and that's what is that distinct flavor, kind of like cloves, banana, spices kind of flavor. It's not the cleanest yeast, but it's very distinct if you're going for that flavour.
Yeah, now that you've kind of said it, cloves is what's tripping me. There's quite a clovey aroma and taste off of this, which as not someone who's not a fan of cloves at all, it kind of ruined it on me, really.
Really?
Yeah. It's a bit overpowering, the clovey kind of taste. Which I hate cloves. I can't stand the smell of them, like. if somebody opens a bag of clove drops, I'll leave the room. Yeah, it's got some nice other flavors. It's just that flavor is what's kind of turning me away from it.
Okay.
On a side note, cloves are what exactly?
Walshy, are you on a mission to sidetrack the podcast? Now, or what's the story? I think the taste of this is way more floral, and I like to be honest, like there's a bit of I prefer this to the last one, I have to say. It's like that floral piney type of taste I'm getting of it, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think it's definitely more piney. I think it's kind of more earthy as well. So I think it's not nearly as sweet as the last one, which, don't get me wrong, the last one was brutal for me and I loved it, but it's quite sweet, which, you know, these are similar in percentages, and I feel like I'd happily sit down and drink more of these in a night than I would the other one, just because the other one is too heavy. You know, it's too heavy, and as Mark was saying, it wasn't. You were saying about the last one, Mark, that it was carbonated, but wasn't quite, you know, as carbonated as you expected. Whereas I feel like this one, you're not going to be able to have that argument. You know what I mean? You can't say that about this one. It's super carbonated, so it is.
Yeah, definitely. This is kind of like perfect. Like the perfect level of crispness is a wide range, you know. But this is in that region. Like it's the crispness is good, and you know, I get the piney, the earthy undertones. They kind of linger on your tongue when the kind of spiciness goes off, which is really nice. The aftertaste of this, for me, is a lot nicer than the actual the front taste of it. But yeah, it's yeah. I could see if you were somebody who likes the floral flavors and cloves and that kind of thing, I can see this being an amazing beer for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing as well that makes it that's different from the other one, like, you know, apart from obviously the different styles or whatever, but this one is not nearly as viscous. Like, it doesn't coat your mouth as much, you know. It's gone kind of quicker, which to me is a pleasant thing in this one. I feel like if it's stuck around too much, there might be too much of that floral flavour. But it leaves pretty quick and it's quite nice.
I think that's a fantastic beer, and I'm going to kick us off into our rating system. I'm putting this at an unbelievable. I think this is right up there. Like, I think this is fantastic. I think it's out of this world. It's definitely as nice as our first unbelievable beer. So I think it 100% deserves to be up there.
Yeah, I'm going to get in early so that people don't think I'm trying to sabotage this at the end. Because I can see where this might go and I just want to get my opinion in. I think that this has a lot of good qualities for me. The crispness is just right. As Nally said, it's not really viscous. It's a nice, not watery, but it's a nice, you know, light kind of liquid in your mouth. It doesn't linger on the palate too long. But for me, the clovey floral taste, it's just a bit too much. It's just a bit overdone, and because it's something that really kind of rubs my palate the wrong way. Like, I'm gonna have to drop this. I'm just gonna say, for me, this is just beer.
Oh wow!
I honestly thought, Mark, you'd go lower because the way you were kind of talking there for a minute, I thought you were going to go lower.
Like, realistically, if I was going to rate this just myself on my own, nobody around, I would say booze. But because we're doing this kind of analytically, and there's a lot that's right with it, and the main thing that's wrong with it is personal taste, albeit a major taste of the beer, I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that let's say more people than not out there enjoy the taste of kind of cloves and floral spices, and I'm going to give it the just beer because of that.
Interesting.
I do enjoy this more than the other one, because, like I said in the first beer we had, that initial sip you take, it kind of hits you. Now I wouldn't go as far as unbelievable, like Nally had pointed out. He'd have the other one on the kind of lower end of Brutiful, but this would be kind of a more of a, you know, it's just a straight out Brutiful for me.
So that's a Brutiful from Walshy, and a just beer for me. And you can hear Nally maybe in the background. He's done some quick maths and he realizes this is not going to be an unbelievable beer.
Yeah. So
Nally, what's your rating?
Just before Nally gets going with his rating, can I ask Walshy, just you've already said you enjoyed this one more than you enjoyed the last one.
Hang on, no, don't be bullying a minute. Yeah, you can enjoy two things more.
Go on, ask away.
And
Ask away.
they can still be around the same level. Like.
How can you rate them both beautiful if you enjoyed this one more?
Okay,
Kinger,
let's
don't
put it
question the
this
rating
way.
system just before you
Put it
start
this
getting
way.
going.
So, the last one, if you were talking, like, I mean, on a side note, like, the last one, you're probably talking 3.75 to 4. This one would be, for me, 4.25 to 4.5.
So what do we always do on the Crafty Crew
No,
podcast?
no.
You break it
No.
down to
Round
beautiful.
up.
No,
Yeah.
no.
No, no,
There's
no.
no
Oh.
point system.
No, you don't round. You only round up from the
No, I don't
Kinger.
round up. No.
Kinger. Stop trying to sway this into your camp. Walshy has
He's
given
not.
a very good description of what he thinks it is, and it's a beautiful from Walshy. So let's move on to Nally's rating.
Like I said, as Nally said in the last one, he had it as a lower end beautiful, and I would have agreed on that. Whereas this would be not even a higher end beautiful, but it'd be a kind of a straight down the line beautiful.
Yeah, there you go.
I call the final rating rests in your hands, but
It's irrelevant.
let us know what you
So
think.
my rating is irrelevant. I'd just like to point out, Mark, fair play on catching me on my quick map there earlier on. I was trying to figure that out, and it really it went from like a 4.25 with Walshy's beautiful, from a 4.5 to a 4.1 or something, which means it stays where it is as a beautiful. So my rating is irrelevant at this stage. But yeah, no, for me that is
No,
that is
it's not, because it could go lower.
Yeah,
I don't think it is,
a likely,
to be honest with you. I don't think
a
it's
likely
gonna go lower.
scenario. But for me that's unbelievable, man. I love this beer. I completely, Mark, completely agree with where you're coming from. I get that kind of clovey, spicy taste at the front is quite strong.
Yeah.
The aftertaste is nowhere near as clovey, and it's just that initial hit of it. It's quite strong, and that's perfectly fine. That's why this rating system is the premier rating system in Ireland, because we take into account everyone's taste. That's why we've got such a wide group of people here. But for me it's unbelievable. I haven't had this beer in over a year now because of lockdown, and I hadn't ordered it online because it was easier to just get cans from the same, the websites we were getting and stuff. But just before we picked these beers for this episode, I had gotten a delivery which included the Westmalle double and the Westmalle triple, and they were in my press, and I'm like, oh, this is class. I can't wait to have these. And then we had our get together to decide on what beers we were doing next. And as Kinger said earlier, he picked the Trappist beers. So I have abstained for the last, as a good monk should, I have abstained for the last few weeks from having the Westmalle triple that's in my press, just so I could have it again on this goddamn podcast. And goddamn, it does not disappoint. It's a savage beer. And just on a side note, I know we record this early, but this is going to be coming out 2 days after Paddy's Day. So I'm glad we got in a religious beer for a religious holiday. Good job, boys. That's some serious planning.
Okay, so just I'll round us up with that, and to Nally and Kinger's deep chagrin, that's going to be a beautiful rating for Westmalle's triple Trappist.
Mark taking my job. I'm going to let it stand. Yeah, it's fine. Second question of the week, right? And I've thought about it differently, so I'm coming from a bit of a different angle this week. I'm going to pit you three against each other in a little competition. I hope this works. So it's basically no, it's not a quiz. It's a bidding war, right? So I'm going to give you each 60 seconds. I want you all to tell me and think about it realistically. How many beers can you name from different countries?
So obviously a specific brand, or do you need like
a specific beer from Ireland Guinness as an example?
Okay.
That's, you know what I mean. So
it doesn't have to be, to give you a further example, like Ireland Guinness original porter. It's just
one beer from one.
And I can't
country.
like it's just one beer. Like I can't have multiple beers from one country.
No,
Okay,
one
grand.
beer,
Okay,
one country.
That's fine.
But But the idea is to give me a number more than the other two. Okay, so
Yeah,
with a
definitely.
quick little bit of edit magic, the lads have had to think about it. So, who wants to give me the first opening bid of how many countries and beers they can name?
I'll do 3.
That's low. Okay,
Wait,
that could
I
be
get
a
another
tactic.
bid though. I get another
Of
bid,
course,
don't I?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bidding war. We can go as low as we want, like, surely, and then...
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, but any improvement on 3?
So, just sorry, quick question. When do they all have to be craft beers?
No.
No, just
beers in
beers.
general.
Just
Any
name
beer
a
at all.
beer from that country. Any improvement on 3?
Can I
Nally?
can I say 3.5 now, just for the crack?
No.
Right, okay, I'll go with 7.
Oh, more than double. That's an interesting tactic.
You know what? I'll bounce it back to you, and I'll go 12.
As they say on Dragon's Den, I'm out.
Oh, really, Walshy? You come on. Could you name 13 countries and then beers from that country?
You can't name 13 countries. Can you?
Probably not. You know what I mean? As a doctor, that's not my field of expertise.
I'd suggest Walshy gives us just one number, just in case the boys don't hit their target, and then Walshy can swoop in.
7.
7?
Yeah.
Okay.
Alright, so Mark had 12. I'll go 14.
See, I'm sure on 13, and I don't know if in the time that I would start answering to the time I finish answering would I get 2 more.
Remember, you have 60 seconds.
Oh, shit, I forgot about that.
I'm gonna go with my number of 12. I'm gonna stick with 12, Kinger, and I'm gonna let Nally name 14 beers from 14 countries. I'll get the
Okay.
timer ready, actually.
I wouldn't say it's great to actually sit back and just kind of relax.
Oh,
and just
I
take
am
this in.
screwed, boys. I completely forgot the 60 seconds.
Just to update everyone, as it stands, Nally has 60 seconds to name, was it 15?
14.
14.
14. Nally has 60 seconds to name 14 countries and then a beer from that country. If he fails, Mark has to do 13.
12. I'm sticking with 12.
If he fails, Mark has to do 12. And if Mark fails, it falls to Walshy to clinch it with 7 countries and 7 beers from those countries.
What about you, Kinger?
I asked the question, I'm not
Yeah.
playing.
Well, I mean,
Kinger had all week because he probably has 256 beers from 256 countries written in front of him on a piece of paper.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I'd probably struggle with 5. That's why I've done this, that I wouldn't have to take part.
Okay, let's
Kinger's
go because
going
I'm
in
loving
with
I'm loving the competition. I don't want Nally to have more time to think about
Okay.
it. So
Nally, are you ready?
No, I fucked myself. I forgot the 60 seconds.
Mark has the timer ready to go on 3, 2, 1, go.
Ireland Guinness, Northern Ireland Boundary Brewing, England Strongbow, Australia Coopers, Belgium Westmalle, Japan Asahi, Thailand Singa, China Tsingtao, Sierra Nevada in America, Molson in Canada, Carlsberg in Denmark, Affligem in the Netherlands, Alska is Sweden, and
15 seconds.
Peroni in Italy, Birra Moretti. I've already done it. That's 14. But 15 would be San Miguel in Spain, Corona in Mexico. 16, boom.
was that really 16?
Yeah, 16, man.
Yeah, 60 seconds.
So, all I was sitting on is San Miguel, Birra Moretti. I was wondering why you didn't
Yeah.
say them a lot sooner.
Yeah, I was going through other ones, son.
Can I just say you skipped over Brewdog in Scotland, which is massiss right now.
Yeah.
God, yeah, actually, that's a great one. I never thought.
Estrella. I'm just going to throw out the ones you didn't have. Estrella from Spain, Superbock Portugal, Budvar from the Czech Republic, anything from Germany. Did you say Germany?
No, I didn't know.
No. So, anything from Germany, which is like
pure panic.
You could have said any German word, and it probably is a beer. You know.
Yeah. I would like to.
I had one ace in the hole. I didn't think you'd have Russia, and I had a Russian one. But you spanked me with the Asian beers. You had a lot of them. Fair play.
Cheers.
All that anime you're watching.
So that seems like a good enough place to wrap up this week's episode. Trappists in the bag. I think it was a fairly successful week, lads. Do you agree?
Yeah,
happy enough. Yeah, solid.
Go Monks.
Solid.
Go Monks.
And their sound between beers and I don't know, teaching Daredevil how to fight. They're a sound bunch.
Okay, next week it's Black IPAs. We're going to have Thornbridge Raven and Kinnigar's Black Bucket.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at what
Oh, he's so mad. Out of the gap with that again. Man,
what do you even do?
This is why he got that doctorate in bollocksology.
Well, as the lads head off on another tangent at the end of this episode, I'll send us out. So it's a goodbye from Walshy, goodbye from Mark, goodbye from Nally, and myself, Kinger. See you next week.
No, and I don't want to.
I mean, you should. It was very, very good.